Thank you for returning, everybody. We're here inside of InstaMAT in our element graph, and we've gotten this element graph to a point where it lines up with the layering project that we were initially working on. So we've come a pretty long way, and now we're going to make this into a material. Somebody wants to see this in engine or in your rendering package in the scene that's going to be used in. You need to export your textures. How do you do that? We're going to go ahead and do a make this into we're going to do a material make. There we go. And I could sit here and plug all these up individually, base color to base color, so on and so forth. But there is a link category mode up here at the top of the toolbar, and this simplifies that process for us. So if we click that little chain link and we pull out our material and plug this into material, you can see now if we uncheck the link category mode, all of this is now plugged in for us. So that's really, really powerful and handy. But you can see that we are actually missing something here. Our ambient occlusion was never plugged in for us. So we need to look at that. That's because that came out of our material bake data. So if we go back and we turn on link category mode, you can see mesh bake data is not being used. That is all of this right here. So the mesh curvature, thickness, ambient occlusion. It went ahead and took the normal map out, but everything else you need to kind of put in by hand. And now that is working just fine. So let's preview this as a 3D material. And yep, we lost that because we didn't put this blend in. So let's bypass that diffuse and put that into the base color there. And now we are lined up and ready to rock and roll. There is one awesome, you can actually see the ambient occlusion in there now as well. So if I took this off, ambient occlusion goes away. So everything's working just like it should. Let's go ahead and we want to maybe tweak how strong that ambient occlusion is before we export it. So let's do a finalize real quick. So let's take this and finalize, and this provides little adjustments for all the channels that are out of the material. So if we go back out of link category mode, there you can see it has all of this. And over here on the right, for instance, just as an example, there's a whole lot that you can actually do with this. But the base color AO darkening, let's just increase that up a little bit and make sure that we are looking at our final output. There we go. Now we're getting the real-time feedback we want. So maybe that's too strong or it's not strong enough. You have options here where you can boost that up a little bit or increase the normal strength if you needed to. So like we're not getting enough of the cardboard. Let's increase that normal strength and you can get more of that cardboard out or tone it down. Maybe it's too strong. Lots of really handy, powerful little tools that you can use right here, right before you export everything to your final outputs. And so now we need to get those outputs. We're going to right click on this and say expose output parameters. I know I'm going to need the diffuse, base color. I'm going to need the normal, and I'm going to need to set up a packed arm mask texture. And I don't think I'm going to need to hide it all. So I'm just going to leave that unchecked. And I'm going to hit expose. And now we've got all of our individual maps ready to rock and roll. But what does that look like? How do we get these out? So right up here at the very top, we have export image and data outputs. So we're going to hit that button there. And there's a lot of pre-built templates in. I'm using the Unreal Engine template here. I've also modified the output path for my individual folder, and I've also set the file name format up for how we do our file handling inside of Hypercharge. This is the base of what you get actually out of the default settings for exporting, which is just too much for me. I don't want to have to rename files inside of the engine if I don't have to. So if I can do that on the front end, then I'm going to do that. And I don't want to use these long base color, AO, roughness metal, any of these as the output name right here. So I've duplicated this built-in template. Nick created a user template called Unreal Engine Dupe. And now you can see if I do an output, it's going to do T underscore output name. In this case, it's going to be D for diffuse, T underscore E for emissive, N for normal. And then this is just easier for us to read in the engine when we're working, and we've been using this method for a long time, so we're really used to it. And I got all of that set up and ready to go. And then you would just hit export, and it's that simple. Right here on the format settings, you can go ahead and change that as well if you wanted to. Lots of little tiny features that you can use inside of this, but we're not going to export directly out of the element graph for this project. We're actually going to bring this element into our layering project in a later video. But before we do that, we're going to add in some additional effects here that we can modify the diffuse and maybe make some of this cardboard look like it's damp or wet. And that's what we're going to look at in the next couple of videos. So thank you so much for watching this one on exporting files and setting up your material and finalizing it. And I look forward to sharing more with you in the future. Thank you very much.